Welcome back, everyone, to episode 22 of the Illegal Formation podcast. Joining me today is Joey, the Cowboys fan. I bet you're feeling amazing right now. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was as good as it could have been. I mean, beating the Chiefs was all I could have asked for. So we win, we move on. That's where we're at now. We're on to the next game. We're on to the Lions.
Cowboys looking great, taking it day by day. And it was a very exciting Thanksgiving weekend and a Black Friday game between the Bears and Eagles, and then the Sunday slate of games that we're going to be reacting to today. So it's going to be an awesome show today, and I can't wait to get into it. And we're going to start things off talking about the Packers and the Lions, the rematch from week one that I had been referencing for probably an expired amount of time, justifying my faith in the Packers. So watching them verse off again, these two teams struggling compared to the Bears in the NFC North, it was a pretty big game. And, obviously on Thanksgiving too, everyone's watching, prime time essentially. And the Packers defense looked ferocious. Again, more so early on in this game, the Lions seemed to figure themselves out sooner in this one than they did in the first one. Another noteworthy thing is Amon-Ra was injured in the first quarter of this game, his ankle. And I think that really was kind of the nail in the coffin for the Lions in this one. Maybe if they had him as an answer for the rest of the game, they would have been able to sort of come back and win. But that Lions defense also wasn't really doing much to stop the Packers throughout the rest of this game. Love did miss a wide open touchdown pass, but other than that, they scored twice on fourth down. And Love, this is Toyota-thon, so I kind of forgot to mention that in terms of my faith in the Packers. That's a mysterious thing that seems to happen every year. He and the offense seem to look a lot better. Christian Watson on that deep touchdown. It was good to see. Like I said, though, the Lions pulled it together at, more towards the second half and later in the game. JMO had a nice screen pass where he broke a tackle and scored. So there are other options besides Amon-Ra. It just wasn't enough, though. The Packers went for it on a 4th and 3 call, and they iced the game with that. And this is now another game since week 5 where Gibbs doesn't have 100 rushing yards where they've lost. Every single game he doesn't have 100 rushing yards, they lose. So, Joey, what was your sort of takeaway in terms of the NFC North, these two teams, and, their matchup and, heading into the playoffs? This was a huge game. What were your thoughts?
Well, you mentioned Jordan Love. He missed a touchdown, but overall, he played a much better game, I'd say. He had 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. It felt like the whole game, the Packers were holding like a 10-point lead, it seemed like, and the
Yeah.
Lions just couldn't break that or get back into the game. I feel like the Lions played well. Golf was 20 for 26 for 256 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't turn the ball over. It's just, I guess the Amon-Ra injury did, completely change this game. I felt like the Packers defense is finally living up to kind of what we thought they'd be in a sense. And I feel like they're playing some of the best football down the stretch now, is where I'm at with the Packers. I feel like this is their best football. This is what I've kind of been asking for from the offense, to see a game like this from Jordan Love. And he's delivered. I feel like getting back Christian Watson has been a lot bigger of a deal than I initially thought it would be.
Yeah.
And this is they have Jaden Reed waiting, I think, too. I think he's going to come back. So they're adding weapons. I will say um, it's kind of funny, the usage of their first round receiver. He doesn't even play anymore.
He's injured. He was out this
uh,
game. Matthew Golden.
I can't even remember his name at this point. That's kind of how forgotten he is with me.
Well,
He's kind of like Josh Ross. So you see what he thought he would. He's a bust. It's kind of where I'm getting to.
he's like 21, so we'll see. But yeah, he hasn't done
Yeah.
much.
Dontavian Wicks though led the way though in yards. He had 6 receptions, 94 yards. He played well. We kind of always knew Dontavian Wicks had this in him. We just haven't seen it on a consistent basis. He has pretty bad hands at
It's
times.
like Slayton.
Drops a lot of pass. Yeah, weirdly enough, yes. But just a great game for the Packers. This is what I've been wanting to see from them. I didn't want to see like 10-6 wins or something like that where they're barely scraping by. This is what I was asking for. They finally delivered.
Yeah.
So
Another keynote, the early on in this game, I believe most of the sacks were against this Lions team, but they only let up 3 throughout the whole entire game. But Jordan Love,
yeah,
well protected in this one, no sacks against him. This offensive line was looking like maybe it wasn't quite as good as we thought it was, this Packers unit. but tightening up down the stretch against a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, keeping Jordan Love clean so he could throw those touchdowns was another thing that I thought was good to see. So, and then a cleaner game, only 3 penalties from the Packers. So, I think overall a good win. They're now 8-3-1. They're a half game behind the Bears. So they keep pace they keep doing what they're supposed to do. As long as they do this and they get into the playoffs, I think they'll be a dangerous team for the Lions. Obviously they're still in the playoff race, but we'll see about Amon-Ra's ankle to really see if if they're in trouble or not.
No way.
Say that again?
No way he plays this week. I hope not.
Yeah, maybe
Against
not. All right. Now it's time to move on to the moment you've been waiting for, Joey. And this is Chiefs Cowboys. This game was absolutely electric, and it was right in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. I myself had a plate of turkey that I had just finished, and I had to bring a second plate to my lap to watch this game. It was so awesome, and I honestly, from my perspective, making that Dak Prescott video in the preseason, in the deep off season when there was nothing going on, I gotta say, the man you are all looking at right now, any of you loyal day one subscribers of the Pocket, you should know that Joey was someone who helped me a lot when it came to the deep research, the Cowboys fan perspective of Dak Prescott, a lot of the stats and measures. And to see that this year really, at least from the offensive side heading into it, at the time I made the video, was going to be one of his best seasons, having Pickens and CeeDee. And it was on full display in this game, as CeeDee, he was good in this game, but it was Pickens who really down the stretch was seemingly unstoppable between him and Dak. Dak having one of his best games that I can remember in a long time. And it's not like this Chiefs team, I mean, they had made some mistakes. The 2 drops they had late really killed them, giving the ball back to the Cowboys. But they had overall played a pretty good game. Rashee Rice had 2 touchdowns. Mahomes had a really, really great play in the fourth quarter where he escaped, 2 sacks, and then hit a man 30 yards downfield. They were putting up a fight. And I think if the Cowboys, if they faltered at any moment late in this game, the Chiefs easily could have came back and even scored a touchdown and won this game. But no, they executed. They ran the ball well. They possessed the ball in this one much better than the Chiefs did. With their run game, and it just seemed like they were the better team, the more talented team, and those few mistakes the Chiefs made costed them. And as a Giants fan, I have an interesting perspective, obviously, because you would expect me to hate the Eagles more so right now, just based off the success they've had recently, and that perhaps I'm kind of rooting for the Cowboys to knock them off, but. The truth is I really do feel like this is one of the most complete teams in the NFC, considering who they are post the trade deadline and who they've gotten back from injury. It really is like a whole different team, and the whole team mentality factor with Dak and everything that happened earlier in the season with Marshawn Nealon motivating this team to win for him is I just think it's something that's really on display and really something we can see. And I guess I'm probably the wrong person to be talking about all this. Joey, what did you think about the Cowboys' awesome win over the Chiefs?
I think one of the more impressive things I think was just how Mahomes was everything you could have expected him to be from this game. I mean, he had 261 yards, he had 4 touchdowns, so we beat it's not like he was off his game. He didn't turn the ball over. So it was cool that they were able to go, drive for drive with him and then, pull the game out. The real turning point of this game, I'd say, was the Chiefs had the ball before halftime. They could have doubled up. So they were receiving the ball, first after halftime. And they Cowboys got to stop the going into the half, and they got to stop coming out of the half. So I thought that was one of the cooler things that I've seen, the defense actually getting stops on this team. It's something that I couldn't have imagined 4 weeks ago from this team, as you could before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I remember.
It's crazy to see. It's crazy to see the effect that Quinnen Williams has on these games like this, just the impact he is in the middle, and how all 10 other guys on defense are better because of him being on this team. It's just it's amazing to see, pretty much from my perspective. And then Dak, obviously, he turned the ball over within the first 2 or 3 plays of that game. He got hit. People don't want to talk about how he got hit through the ball, through a pick. But Steve Spagnuolo, though, was kind of like a thorn. I guess his kind of defense, it's a problem for Dak, similar to like Vic Fangio is, in a similar sense, always gave Dak a hard time. But he's like beating good defenses, which I think is one of the more impressive things that I've seen him do. Just like he seems just kind of unstoppable, in my opinion. And that might be a George Pickens thing as well, just having him on this team and how good he's contributed to this team. The O line too is just nasty. I mean, the Chiefs are sending all kinds of pressure on Dak, and they just couldn't get to him.
Yeah.
That was another note I had.
Yeah, just looking good in every facet, offense, because the defense doesn't have to be this, elite unit for the Cowboys. It just has to be like adaptable, not getting completely exposed on, the run or the pass defense. And it just has to, sort of do their job, get us a stop here and there, like you said before half, get us a stop. Don't let them get that score that isn't, it's kind of on the table, whether it's available or not for the Chiefs in that moment. Because if the Cowboys shut the door, then they get to go into half with, that field goal and extend their lead from 3-6 instead of, the Chiefs, going all the way down the field, chewing up all the clock, scoring, and then being up 21-17. It really flips the game even for just something small like that. So, and then you mentioned Pickens, the offense, Dak, all working really well, the offensive line too. It's just a well-oiled machine, and I think the conversation for the NFC East is beginning to open up. So I can't wait to see how this evolves over the coming weeks, day by day, for this Cowboys team that has to come so far from, 3-5-1?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they've done everything they could so far.
This is pretty similar, I feel like, when you look at like 2018 when they traded when they were 3-5 when they acquired Amari Cooper, and then they won like 5 straight, made the playoffs. That's the year they won a playoff game. So I don't know. It's giving me flashbacks to like back to 2018. But this is like a way better team, I feel like, than 2018 was. Just with like Dak's not in year 3, Dak's in year 10. Like, he's an experienced quarterback at this point. And when it comes to just playing quarterback, I feel like it's hard to name 3 other guys that are playing better than he is right now.
Yeah,
like this season.
He's it's been kind of a weird year, but he's definitely it's not like he's having a Mickey Mouse like MVP run. Like, he's playing at a very high level, and it's become very apparent, that a lot of the media haters out there are full of it because he's not like this quarterback that they want you to think he is. That's just for clicks.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to a quarterback who, people also like to get clicks off of. 2 quarterbacks, actually, as Joe Burrow returned in the Ravens and Bengals primetime night game on Thanksgiving. And it was a game where pretty much everyone expected, Derrick Henry is going to go for a big game on the ground. Lamar Jackson, he'll probably throw 4 touchdowns. No, the Ravens were absolutely dreadful in this game with 5 turnovers that led to their 32-14 demise. As although they did manage to get back in the first place, this kind of knocked them out down to 6-6. Very disappointing, as this team has really got no excuse with Lamar healthy, the defensive adjustments, and they're still turning the ball over at this horrific rate. And a lot of these turnovers are just hideous. I mean, the one fumble that Lamar had where the ball just slipped out of his hands as he pumps was just one of, like I said, the 5. Or if you want to mention who was it likely who fumbled into the end zone and it went back for a touchback, just completely game-changing, turnovers. And for this Ravens team to be playing like this, it's impossible to win like this in the playoffs if you're going to be this, discipline, run the ball, play defense team. And I have serious concerns for this team to make the playoffs, because the Steelers, they might not be great, but they're going to manage to win games like this that, are close and against competitive teams like the Bengals, but they're not going to turn it over 5 times. And that was really why a T. Higgins-less Bengals team was able to, win by such a decisive amount. And they possessed the ball 39 minutes to 21 minutes in this game, mostly because of those turnovers. And Burrow actually did look pretty good. He threw the ball a ton, and his completion percentage wasn't super high, but he hit some deep passes to Chase that really, kind of helped them take advantage of the opportunities they were given. So from that standpoint, for the Bengals, are they going to make some playoff run? No, definitely not. But is it going to build you some momentum for next year? Maybe to have some hope? Maybe. we'll just have to see in terms of that. But for the Ravens, things are getting scary. Joey, what did you think about Lamar and the Ravens' disappointing loss on Thanksgiving night?
You started off talking about Lamar being healthy, and I kind of don't think he is. I feel like that's pretty evident when you watch him because he's not running at all. He's not like that's kind of what Lamar is. Like if you're not going to run with Lamar, why is Lamar playing? You're not going to rely on Lamar to win you games as a pocket passer. That's just not a realistic thought. He's not a good.
Yeah.
He's not a good quarterback. I'd say in that aspect. He's not a guy can you rely on. Can you win games with Lamar's arm without the legs? Do you think
Well,
he can win a game?
it's not. I'm not. Well, I'll say this. I think he's improved in that area over his career for sure. He did throw 41 touchdowns last year. A lot of that is, I would say, like, guys open or run after catch. Although the weapons, like I was kind of building to my point, they let him down in the schemes. Zay Flowers fumbled. Isaiah likely fumbled a touch that would have been a would-be Lamar touchdown pass. So there's things like that there's just the whole Ravens team, the whole Ravens passing game and like skill positions has this problem. It's not just him, but he's got this issue where whenever he does have to sort of pocket pass and maybe he is a little banged up or it's a tough defense in the playoffs where he really doesn't seem to handle that well at all. But if he's fully healthy in a situation like this, I think I'd trust him more to make his types of plays.
Yeah, like we're talking about the worst defense in football, though. That's another note. Like the Bengals are the worst defense in football.
Yeah. Well, I think it's self-inflicted kind of injuries by the Ravens is my point. Like it doesn't matter what defense you fumble to. If you fumble, you're giving it away. But
I'm just about Lamar's turnovers, really.
Yeah, the fumble, the interceptions.
But another thing too, another weird thing to add is like Derrick Henry kind of disappeared in this game. Like he just stopped playing. It was weird. They stopped giving the ball to Derrick Henry. I don't know why you would do that, especially when you know the Bengals are as bad against the run as they are. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I saw a stat where Rasheen Ali, like their RB3, outsnapped Henry in this game. Yeah. Just weird.
10 for 60 and a touchdown on the ground for Henry, and that touchdown run of his was 28 yards. And that was early in this game when they had the lead. They were winning 7-3 heading into the second quarter, and it was after that Henry touchdown. And then that was when they had the Lamar fumble inside their own territory. And the worst part is this Bengals team off of the first 3 turnovers could not capitalize. They were getting field goals. That it's not like they jumped out too far ahead and the Ravens were just playing catch up. No, it was 12-7 going into half, and it was 19-14, 26-14 after I believe it was for the Bengals. That was the Yosivas touchdown, and then the Ravens throw their interception with Lamar, and then it's too late. You were down 2 scores already, so it's just like a game that the Ravens never had a hold of whatsoever. They never had anything to build off of. You cannot win turning the ball over 5 times, just ask the Giants. But I would say that was the biggest topics from Thanksgiving. I think it's time we move on to the Black Friday game between the Bears and the Eagles. In this game, I thought for sure, just based on, who the Eagles have played this year, and, what they've kind of mustered through compared to the Bears, that, they were going to win this game, despite not having Lane Johnson. Like, this is still a deep team. No, they got embarrassed in this game. 24-15. A.J. Brown got what he wanted, as he had 2 catches, 100 yards, and not 2 catches, 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards. But outside of that, this Eagles offense was really bad. Devontae Smith was open on an underneath route that was sort of getting cleared out, and Jalen Hurts threw it behind him. It could have been a touchdown. There were many instances like that, like Dallas Goedert running wide open down the field. And this Eagles offense is just completely broken. Even Saquon Barkley, although they could have gave him the ball more, it wasn't like that was even working that well. And it was something that kind of impressed me with the Bears defense, because I didn't really perceive them as, a defense that had the sort of front 7 talent to kind of, do that to an Eagles run game, even though it has struggled this year and they don't have Lane Johnson. It was just something I was impressed to see by them. And then the offense it wasn't Caleb Williams, but it was Ben Johnson and the offense. and the offensive line upgrades is Swift and Monangai both go for over 120 yards in this one and a touchdown, and they possess the ball for a great advantage of 39 minutes and 18 seconds to the Eagles 20 minutes and 42 seconds. So that's a combination of them running the ball and the Eagles going 3 and out. The Eagles were 4 for 12 on third down, and the Bears were 10 of 17. This whole game for the Eagles was just a game they never should have lost, especially in a way like this. It felt like, Fangio could have adjusted to try to kind of force Caleb to throw the ball against this pass rush and the secondary. No, they continued to allow, Swift and Monangai combined for 40 carries throughout this game. And then, for the offense, it's just like, what have they done well at all, honestly, this entire season? I really don't feel like this Eagles team has been on since that Giants loss, to be honest. I really think since that moment, things have felt very different for them. I think it hurt their ego. And I don't think they really have any mojo or repeatability to this team. And honestly, I think they're in free fall. I think the Eagles are not flying right now. Joey, what do you think?
I think teams aren't afraid of the Eagles, I'd say, right now. And yeah, like you mentioned, like the Bears completely just took their heart running the ball in this game. Like that's all they did was run the ball. The Eagles had no answers.
They had 281 rushing yards.
Yeah, that's embarrassing from an Eagles defense. You would not expect them to give up that amount of yards. They have Jordan Davis on their team and fucking
Jalen Carter.
What's his name? Jalen Carter. Yeah, how are you allowing that many yards? But another weird thing I saw. What's that?
Unbelievable.
Another weird thing I saw is that they have 0 rookies. They had 0 rookie snaps on defense against the Bears. Jahad Campbell didn't play it down for them that game. His snap count has steadily decreased all the way from like 100% week 1 down to 0 this week. So I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if that's just like Nakobe Dean being better or like he's struggling. I figured they'd both be out there together.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing. They had Ty Robinson at D tackle in the third round. He's healthy and active every week. They don't play him at all. I don't know what's up with him. Overall, just they're getting pretty much no production out of their rookie class from this past year. I mean, I guess you could say they had production out of Campbell, but for some reason he's not playing anymore. So can you still say they're getting production?
Right.
I don't know.
It's weird.
That's the thing. Yeah, and then I think people talk about Kevin Patullo being the problem or whatever that guy's name is, the OC.
Yeah.
But when you watch the Eagles play, it hurts just missing throws. Like there's guys open nonstop. Yeah. He's just not getting the ball where it needs to be. He's just not able to read the defense. It's just I don't really know how you're blaming your OC when do you watch the games? It's really just hurts,
Yeah.
Missing these throws.
Yeah, and
leaving your touch points on the board pretty much on a regular routine pretty much.
And there's something about the play extension with Jalen Hurts that I was never really sold on. Like he would make some plays on the move with his arm, be able to keep his eyes downfield. But there's just something about, especially the way he's looked even since the start of last year, where I just feel like the play extension really it's been non-existent seemingly. I mean, when it comes to AJ Brown, he hits him on a slant or something like that. But the days of him rolling out and like finding AJ down the field, I feel like I haven't seen that. Or hitting AJ Brown on a deep post for like 50 yards, like it's not there. The explosive element to this offense is like gone. And I think it's part Jalen Hurts, it's part Kevin Patullo, and it's part Lane Johnson and this offensive line not being there. And to be honest, I don't think Jalen Hurts has gotten much better over the years at these sorts of things. I think it's just been kind of correlated with the Eagles, and how great of a team they are that year is what you're going to get out of Jalen Hurts. And I think they're not a great team right now, especially this offense. Missing Lane Johnson, it seems like he might really be the most important player, at least on that offense, maybe on that entire team. But for the Bears, because I think we know the Eagles are in trouble. But for the Bears, they're 9-3. They're not ahead of the Eagles, and they should be the number 2 seed in the NFC now. After that win, they're actually the number 1. They have some sort of tiebreaker over the Rams, and I understand it wasn't really through Caleb Williams, but just was this more to you about the Bears being good, or was it more about the Eagles falling apart? because my thought process going into this game was this was a test. But if the Eagles are collapsing, are we really going to crown the Bears after this?
I kind of just think it was an impressive. It's impressive to see what the Bears are doing, and I feel like it's more a credit to their run game and how much better they got on the offensive line than it is the Eagles' collapse. Because like that was just they were playing bully ball that whole game. Like you mentioned, it was 300 rushing yards. Like they didn't even need to throw the ball. They could have just ran the ball every down. The Eagles had no answers for it, and I thought that's just something you wouldn't expect from the Eagles defense, regardless. Because we were touting the Eagles defense as a top 2 or 3 unit going into this game.
Right.
That's how I look at them. So,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I would have picked the Eagles to win. I didn't actually release my predictions this week. Sorry, guys. But I would have picked the Eagles. But there was a looming thought in my head that this Bears team might not be walking into the same, 8-3 Eagles team that their record says they are. They might be walking towards the what comes to finish as a 11-7 or 10-7 or 11-6 football team, meaning they're going to finish poorly down the stretch like they did in 2023. I think it is still an impressive win, and I think just looking at what they've done over the 12 games that they have played, they've beaten who's been in front of them, and sometimes that's how it goes in the playoffs. I believe in the talent that this team has. I still want to see some consistency out of like the offense and Caleb Williams, mostly in the passing game, because I think we know the running game can be good, especially after this game. I just don't think it's going to be something that's going to like carry them to a NFC Championship or a Super Bowl. I think once they put it all together, it can. That I think can all get you there, but I'm just not sure they're firing on all cylinders. Every time they win, I feel like it looks a little different. But
Yes,
they're
that's what I
beating.
like.
Yeah, I guess I'm not super sure it's like intentional, but in this game it was definitely, a game where the Eagles asked them to run the ball and they did. And I guess maybe I have to open my mind to the idea that they are just, taking what is there like a good football team does,
Yes.
rather
Yeah.
than but I think maybe I'll have to look more into Caleb Williams' individual game logs this year and see.
Good good football teams can make adjustments on how you win the game, no matter if it's like running the ball, throwing the ball. Like that's just what good football teams do. So I think it's time we credit the Bears for that. I mean, they're 9-3 right now. My only thing with them is that they're 1-2 in their division. So it seems like in the division they're having a little bit harder of a time. I guess that's just the Packers and the Lions knowing the Bears and their
Well, it's
tendencies.
the
Then again,
Vikings.
Vikings as well, yeah. So that's something to note because I feel like they have a lot of divisional games left, right? They play the Packers again
They play them
and the
Packers
Lions.
twice. They play
Yeah,
the yeah.
so there's gonna be they could drop both those games against Green Bay.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting matchup. But when it comes to Caleb Williams, though, I feel like you're seeing it on a on a week to week basis, just the untapped potential that he has in him, what he's capable of doing. He just hasn't put it together, but I think they made the right pick with him at number one. I think his running ability is special as much as his arm is. He's going to be a slow developer. But even being 9-3 in year two, like how slow a development is that?
Right.
There's a lot of room to grow here for the Bears.
His ability to escape sacks, I think, is one of the best abilities for a quarterback, and I think he looks special at that. And that's something that
Yes.
the Lions and Ben Johnson did not have together. So perhaps an even higher ceiling than that. That's my end vision for the Lions. It's just I'm trying to hit the milestones on the way there before I fully project it for this season because it's getting possible. It's looking very possible. But I think it's time.
What?
It's looking possible that the Bears could reach like a NFC Championship ceiling. Reaching a game like that. I think they could play with all the other teams in the NFC bracket. I just don't know if they can do it 3 games in a row, but we'll have to see.
I'd want to see them. I'd want to see them again as a Cowboys fan. I'd
Yeah,
want to play them.
yeah, I would like to. I would be
Just to see
very
a
interested to see you
rematch.
guys. All right, now we have another explosive playoff-changing matchup, and this one it's set in the AFC. And that matchup was between the Colts and the Texans. And in this one, the Texans came out on top 20-16 in the defensive battle to even the odds. And the Jaguars, who are now tied with the Colts at 8-4, hold first place. Very, very loose grip on first place, as the Texans are only one game behind. And as I said, there's a tiebreaker to which they own it over the Colts. But in this one, the Colts were 3-10 on third down and 0-2 on fourth down. The conversion, in those situations for them is pretty bad. And the Texans were also 0-2 on fourth down, but 3 of 16 on third down, which isn't great, but it is a little bit better, and it's that difference that I think got them that one last red zone trip that got them the touchdown in the fourth quarter and the extra field goal, as they did have one extra red zone trip. They only converted twice, as the Colts only converted twice, but it resulted in a field goal, not converting. So Woody Marks did go down with a hip drop tackle that kind of had him shaken up, and Chubb held it down, punching it in at the goal line before Woody Marks came back. And they were able to do just enough on the ground in this game to kind of establish that baseline for the offense. And then it wasn't pretty for C.J. Stroud. He had a really ugly interception early on in this one, but his ability to hit those intermediate throws to Nico Collins and Xavier Hutchinson, that we're used to seeing him hit from his rookie year. It looks like that's still there, and that's still helping them, convert some of those extra third downs that, put them in position to win this game. So nice to see Nico Collins looking, I'd say, fully healthy now. And Stroud, first game back, looked pretty solid, got a W against a divisional opponent that was ahead of you. So the Jags, as I stated, are 8-4 and in first place. The Colts 8-4, tied for first, and then the Texans 7-5 in third place. Joey, what was your reaction to this upset by the Texans? Because it was an upset, and I did predict this. I had money on this. What was your reaction to this upset by them?
I wouldn't say it's an upset. I kind of expected Texans Houston to win. We talked about it before the game privately. Sadly, we had no video for this, but I would have had the Texans winning. I mean, Stroud, it was a really slow start for him. I was getting frustrated by it early.
Welcome back, everyone.
The turnover that he had. I don't know why I feel like Davis Mills can operate the offense more efficiently than he can. I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel like they should probably start him. I don't know if that's what I should say right now. But I think this game was more about Daniel Jones, and he kind of struggled. He was 14 of 27 today. And I feel like you could pinpoint the Colts and the free fall or fall off that they have experienced was when he fractured his leg.
Yeah.
Because now a big part of Daniel Jones was being able to play off Jonathan Taylor, and that's what made them so dangerous. But now that he is struggling, Jonathan Taylor is struggling as well. He only had 21 carries for 85 yards today. Then again, Texans' top defense. But those two, I just feel like Jones has been letting down his half of what he's done the first half of the season to now. He's kind of taken a step back, and I think that you can pinpoint that to the injury he experienced.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, in the time I had with Daniel Jones, I will say he never really had what he needed in New York. But it also seemed like sometimes when you did have some stuff for him, if it wasn't everything, he'd find a way, to kind of, make a mistake. And I'm really not trying to put him down right now because an injury is a really tough thing to play through. But the fact is a lot of these. What's that?
I'm not trying to put him down either. I'm just trying to
be realistic.
Make sense of why. Yeah, why he's not playing well. He has a broken leg.
Right.
I mean,
and if you've got
the mobility is not there.
He can't move, and when he can't move, he's already a jittery guy in the pocket. He does have some pass protection. He did make a nice throw today in the red zone to Alec Pierce for a touchdown. He's still got a nice arm, and it still seems like he knows how to operate. But in terms of making those nuanced movements in the pocket and just kind of that confidence of being fully healthy, I do think he gets affected when he's playing injured. It just seems like it's making a big difference. And yeah, I think the Colts schedule has tightened up a little bit. They definitely versed some good teams early on, but I think most of it was when they were hot and fresh and kind of catching teams off guard. I think now, teams have got to look at them. They see Daniel Jones is suffering a little bit more. And I think he hit the nail on the head with, if the passing game isn't a huge threat, let's double down on stopping the run and then dare him to beat us with his arm. And he couldn't really get it done today. Like 14 for 27 is not good, and it shows in the conversion rates for third down. So, very great win for the Texans though. And in your comments about C.J. Stroud and Davis Mills, I know Davis Mills is a great backup, but outside of a few throws that were definite turnover worthy throws, I think in his first start back he looked pretty good, and he was able to use his wide receivers to win this game. It wasn't any explosive plays from their running backs. They did punch it in with Nick Chubb, but the longest run between any of their running backs was 13 and 16 yards. And so when you consider that neither of them had more than 60 yards, that means they were averaging like 3 yards per carry. It was his arm that was making most of the progress down the field today. And this Colts defense is pretty good, despite the fact that they lost Sauce Gardner in this one. Very noteworthy. He went straight to the locker room. They didn't even check him out in the blue tent, so that's kind of concerning. But this is still a good. Yeah, he strained his calf. So that's a very ambiguous injury, and we'll just have to see.
That could be. Yeah. People were calling for his Achilles, I think. They were saying Achilles, but they announced strained calf. But either way, those two are kind of connected, so I don't know what this means long term.
I don't think he could walk if he tore his Achilles or even partially tore it. Yeah. But yeah, it was a big.
He did the Tyrese Halliburton thing where he looked back to see if someone stepped on him. It looked like, but I don't know. I hope he's okay. That's just huge to me because they traded 2 first-round picks for him, and now it seems like they're in a free fall in a sense, kind of similar to Philly.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Giving away better picks.
I don't know how this is going to end. Yeah. It's just a crazy drop from what we saw first half of the season.
The Texans are certainly happy about this, about the outcome of today's game. And even though they don't hold first place, they're only a game out from first place realistically. And all these AFC South teams are going to play each other over the next couple weeks. And it's going to be pretty awesome to see how it kind of unfolds. So I think that's enough about Colts Texans. Let's move on to the next game. And this was the most exciting game of this week. And that was Rams Panthers. The Panthers would pull off the upset in this one, 31-28. And oh my goodness, Bryce Young scrambling, big play after big play. 2 long touchdowns on 4th down, extending the play. And on the second one, it was to take the lead late in the 4th quarter to Tetero and McMillan. And it's just unbelievable to see Bryce Young playing like this. A fun fact, a fun little stat for you guys in this one. In this game against the Blitz, he was 6 for 6 for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. And so a third of those attempts were on 4th down. They blitzed him, and they paid for it both times. Perfect passer rating. Just unbelievable by Bryce Young. I think it's definitely disappointing that the Rams lost, but it's not, I would say, a game that I am, saying the world is, or the sky's falling over. To me, this was more about the arrival of Bryce Young than any, diminishing perspective on the Rams. What did you think, Joey? I'm not saying those two have to be independent, but what's your kind of biggest takeaway from this game?
I just think, you mentioned how Bryce Young was 6 for 6, 150 yards. That was 3/4 of his total yards in this game. He was 15 of 20 for 206 yards. And
it's
then
just like him.
Yeah, 75% of that was off the blitz. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. But yeah, to me, this was just more of a really, really sloppy Matt Stafford game. I mean, he had the 2 interceptions, the pick 6, and then the fumble. Just a tough game for him. The talk all week was how he has 28 straight touchdowns or something like that, no turnovers, and then turned the ball over 3 times this game. Quite the jinx on him. And I think for me, I feel like this just kind of opens the door for the Rams. This was a loss that the Seattle needed them to suffer. The Niners needed them to lose this game. I think their division race just got super tight, just like the AFC South, and it's going to be an interesting watch. It's going to be a great finish, I think. I feel like for me, I would want to say Seattle's my number 1. I would expect them to win the division. I don't know. What do you think? I think Seattle's defense against the Rams' offense, a rematch of that, is going to go into Seattle's favor, I feel like.
I think it's an awesome question. I kind of, like I said, I hinted at before, my faith in the Rams is not shaken by this loss. It was a very concentrated loss on a couple plays. As you mentioned, that was 3/4 of Bryce Young's passing yards. Other than that, for the most
You're
part,
breaking up a lot.
oh, am I breaking up a lot? That's very, very, very odd. What about now?
You're
Am I,
frozen for me. Hold on.
interesting.
Yeah, you're still frozen. I don't know if you can see me.
I could see you.
Is it my Wi-Fi?
It says I'm going. This should all be plugged in. Well, I'm not sure if anyone in the chat cannot hear me, but if you cannot hear me, then please do say something so that I know it's me or whether it's Joey. Joey has just left the Discord, so he can come back. Joey, can you hear me? Because I cannot hear you at the moment. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys.
You're back. I can see you.
Okay, awesome. You can see me. I cannot see you at the moment, but I can hear you. But to what I was saying with the Rams, like this game very easily could have been like a solid win despite the turnovers by Matthew Stafford. The Panthers were better on third down, 5 of 17, but it was being 3 for 3 on third down that really won them this game. The Rams didn't go for it on fourth down once, so that was 3 game-changing conversions by the Panthers. Obviously, 2 of them were for touchdowns. The Rams were only 2 for 5 on third down, though. They did have 12 first downs, so they got 10 other first downs on first and second down combined. All of them were one of them was from penalties, and then 9 of them were from rushing. 22 total first downs, 12 passing, 9 rushing. I couldn't read the chart there for a second, but it was, definitely the 2 early turnovers, especially since they were like in the red zone. At least the second one was. It was just like, really good timing for this Panthers defense. And to be honest, was one of my biggest takeaways from this game, was the way this Panthers defense was not able to exactly contain the Rams offense, but win in a different kind of way by forcing those turnovers in critical situations. That is another perfectly acceptable championship caliber of defense. If you have an offense like this Panthers team does, then you can take advantage and win because they can run the ball, so they can finish out games, but they can also pass and have some of this, play extension magic from Bryce Young. And Tetairoa McMillan has been every bit as advertised as the top wide receiver in the class. So it's a very exciting young team. I think they kind of caught the Rams with their pants down in this one. I don't think it would happen again in the playoffs, but I think the Panthers are looking very primed for the playoffs, and for the Rams, I still think they're gonna win the division. But what about you? Do you think the Panthers are a playoff team in the NFC wild card? There's a couple teams ahead of them.
I think they have a real shot at the Bucks. I mean, early a game behind the Bucks, so I think they have a pretty good chance to make it. It's going to be competitive. I think I like the Panthers more than the Bucks for some reason. I feel like their line's dominant. Their run game is dominant when they want to be. And then they have a better overall defense. I feel like for me, I just value the defense is over everything for me.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the Ted McMillan thing, he struggled the first half of this game. Like he was held, like he had nothing,
He had
no catches
nothing
or anything.
until that fourth down catch was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, but his presence, though, is what the Panthers needed because even though he's not doing anything, he's still making the other receivers around him better, like Jalen Coker. He was able to take advantage of a lot of plays today. He has an effect on a game even when he's not getting the ball.
Yeah, Coker had a fourth down conversion actually, or it may have been third down. Yeah, 3rd and 4 approaching the 2-minute warning. The Rams had used all their timeouts, and the Panthers choose to throw the ball with their quarterback. And that went to Jalen Coker. You best believe after they gave up that touchdown, the T-Mac, they were going to make sure they were all over him, and that opened things up for Jalen Coker to extend that drive and finish the game. So I think the presence of Tet has made a massive difference for them. It was just what they needed this year, and good for them for getting that. I'm not sure I like them more than the Bucks, but I will say this: they have a fully healthy quarterback. They have a fully healthy quarterback who can win them games. Baker Mayfield, he got it done today, but he's not super healthy right now. And as a matter of fact, let's talk about that since we are talking about the NFC South and who's going to win this division. The Buccaneers just kind of taking care of business against the Cardinals, 27-17. The Cardinals are now 3-9, I believe, on the season. One of the best 3-9 teams of all time. They just compete in every single game, but they just don't find a way to finish these games. So Baker survives playing through that first game of the shoulder injury on the non-throwing arm. And it was a competitive game, but it was the Cardinals' 2 failed fourth down attempts in the fourth quarter that really costed them this game. And the Buccaneers executed in those fourth quarter moments to, get points at the end and take the lead and hold on to it. So Buccaneers, nothing super impressive about this week. But Joey, why don't you kind of continue on about, what you thought about between the Bucs and Panthers, and then any thoughts after that you have about the Cardinals. Their season's over.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, the Cardinals are one of the most competitive 3-9 teams that I can remember, but they just somehow can't close games out, and it's very frustrating because I feel like it's going to cost what's their head coach's name? Jonathan Gannon. I feel like he's going to lose his job off this, and I feel like it's kind of undeserved. I feel like he was dealt a bad hand with the Cardinals being tied to Kyler Murray. I feel like he needs to be able to draft his own quarterback, and we go from there. Kind of similar to, I guess, the Brian Daboll story, except he's a defensive-minded guy. But the teams compete; they have no way of closing games out. It's very frustrating. I couldn't imagine being a Cardinals fan, but like you said, the Bucs too. I wouldn't say an impressive game. I would say Chris Godwin was back, so that was cool to see. Like his second game back.
Yeah, he looked good.
Returned.
He looked very good.
Yeah, but Bucky looks solid, and I think he's going to continue to get fed as we could expect. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't walk away from that game like super impressed with the Bucs.
Yeah, me neither. So they're gonna have to, keep their head on a swivel, make sure that Panthers team doesn't take away the NFC South that they have relied on winning to get into the playoffs. So things could get tight there. All the NFC wildcard teams are like 8.5 win teams or 9-win teams because the Packers got that tie in there. So if they are going to get into the playoffs, their best bet is probably to just catch up to the Bucs, who they are only one game behind. For the Cardinals, season's over. Anything for fantasy purposes, they're a good team to look at. But outside of that, it's just Gannon and the head coach question. Are they going to hold on to him? Are they going to get rid of him? I'm not too sure. I feel kind of tapped out on that subject after all the drama with Brian Daboll. I don't feel like giving a take about it. So we'll move on to the next game. And that was Browns 49ers in this one. And we talked about this 49ers team and how, they had gone through so much in terms of injury. And I personally had kind of written them off, even though I'm typically very high and have a lot of benefit of the doubt in this team. They haven't really played the most difficult schedule, but they're just 9-4, and it seems like they're healthy. And they've had McCaffrey this whole year. Their defense, I get that they played Shedeur Sanders, who was not great in this game, but they held this Browns offense to 8 points. It was overall good to see the 49ers offense possess the ball to the way we're used to seeing 11 of 17 on third down. And overall, is a fairly clean game penalty-wise, and they only let up 1 sack against this Browns defense. So really, really impressive win to me for the 49ers, honestly, because the last time they versus Browns team, they lost. And it was one of the most famous losses that year because it was to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, quarterbacking the Browns. So I thought, hey, if he can do it, then Shedeur Sanders probably could too. But the 49ers were able to avoid that in this one. So, Joey, what was your big thought about the Niners and the Browns coming out of this one?
Felt like the Browns competed, but they just didn't have enough. Sanders struggled, I'd say, but I feel a little more
Oh, you are buffering.
I think. Can you see me now?
I can see you, yeah.
After the 2 games, like after what you've seen from Sanders, what do you think between Dylan Gabriel and what you've seen, like his sample size, and Sanders? Like, what do you think between the 2 quarterbacks?
I like Sanders more just because I think he's got a higher ceiling.
Yes, I'd agree. I feel like they have a better shot when Sanders is back there. I feel like he has a bigger arm than Dylan Gabriel does. Just he has NFL size that Gabriel just doesn't have. I would want to see him finish out this year and just see what he's capable of, and then go from there. That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
But
I
I mean,
think
he was 16. He took care of the football today. He was 16 to 25. Just didn't have, the completion percentage wasn't great, but he had a touchdown, no turnovers. So that was good to see.
yeah,
Jodakins played well. 23 carries for 91 yards. That was cool. Just he had some throws, like there was a Jerry Jeudy throw that was probably a touchdown he missed early in the game.
yeah.
That was a bad throw. But other than that, it's just a lot of room to grow with him, I think,
Yeah.
with the offense.
I mean, the Browns' offense certainly isn't perfect by any means. In fact, they're missing a lot of wide receiver talent. Judkins is a great running back, and the offensive line's okay, but it's just really not been a well-oiled machine for even just probably since Baker Mayfield left. So to see Shador, I just think he takes more chances, whether you like when he
Yes.
does it or not. And there's more opportunities for those chances for him than there are even available to Dylan Gabriel. So I don't think there's a whole lot you can learn from Gabriel starting him the rest of the season. Whereas with Sanders, hey, maybe it'll turn out to be all right, and we'll just have to see about that. But they might want to get another game or two, I'd say, before the end of the season with Sanders, and good for him if he does. But other than that, their season's over. They're probably going to draft a quarterback next year. And for the Niners, they're 9-4. I don't think the rest of their schedule is very difficult. If I am correct, that they have probably the easiest or top 3 easiest schedules in the entire league, and
Unfortunately,
yeah, and they verse the Titans, Colts, Bears, and Seahawks to finish the season. So three tough games down the stretch that could theoretically drag them down to 9-7, and then do you win that Titans game? Of course you do, 10-7. So that would be the worst case scenario for them. Best case is they finish the season with only 4 losses. So 49ers are a very interesting team. I'm simply going to monitor them. I don't think they really have the ceiling, but they're an experienced playoff team. So let's move on to the next game, and that was Steelers Bills. This one was honestly pretty ugly to watch. The Steelers,
snooze fest.
yeah, they were in an opportunity to sort of inject themselves back into this game, but Aaron Rodgers goes down. Kind of looked like he got hit in the face, as in addition to having like a lower body injury, just kind of got messed up by Joey Bosa. He was able to come back in this one, but it was at that point late in the third quarter where the Bills were already kind of starting to have their way with the Steelers defense, and it was just, at least they were able to run the ball and continue drives, as they possessed the ball for a shocking 42 minutes in this game. That's right. The Steelers had the ball for 1 quarter and 3 minutes in this game, which is honestly the worst time of possession difference I think I have ever seen. If I'm not, I actually don't think I've ever seen one worse than that. A big reason for that is 3 for 9 on third down for the Steelers. Only 10 first downs across the whole game. And the penalties in this game were not terrible. The Steelers were 1 for 2 in the red zone, but the Bills were 2 for 4. And that's basically where you lost this game. If you were going to have this terrible offense, at least if you're 2 for 2 in the red zone and you can stop them in the red zone, you have a chance to win. But the Steelers team, I'm just not inspired by anything left. I think the Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin, Steelers experiment, like whatever happens at the end of this year, whether they go, one and done in the playoffs, whether they even make it or if they even win a playoff game, it's going to end. It's not going to, it's going to end before the AFC Championship. And as much as the Bills are in better shape now at 8-4, I feel like my biggest takeaway is the Steelers. Like, yeah, they're not doing anything this year. Their season is effectively over. What do you think, Joe?
I don't think either of these teams are doing anything, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I really just don't feel very strongly about anything in this game at all.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph didn't look great coming in, and this Bills defense, I really expected this Steelers offense to, pound the rock, and they only had 18 carries across their whole team in this game, and Jalen Warren was able to score from one of them, but they need to reset the Steelers team. It's sad to see what they've become at this point, if you ask me. And for the Bills, it's like, hoorah.
Don't you have a great video about it?
I have a great video on the Steelers and their purgatory quarterback situation. You guys should all check it out. It's called Replacing Roethlisberger, the Steelers' Pride and Purgatory. It is my third most viewed video. I'm very proud of the work I've done there. They're like my second or third favorite team in the NFL behind the Giants, so definitely had a lot to say about that one. And I think it encapsulates how they've gotten here very well and what are they going to do next, because it's like, is this the end of the Tomlin era? I really think it might be. So we'll see, even though his contract goes for next year, I'm pretty sure. But that's enough about that game that you and I really don't care that much about. Let's move on to another one of those with the Raiders and Chargers. And this game was, me and my friends were joking. It was like every single time this game came up, it was someone drops back and gets sacked. It's just like over and over and over again. It was just like a nasty game to watch. These two teams, like the Chargers are kind of like the 49ers in the sense where they have all these injuries, and I kind of read them off for the whole season because I just don't want to get attached to them just for them to have this, stinker of a playoff one and done like they did last year. I could just see it. It's going to happen again. Like, I just know it. But despite this, they continue on to win. This is just the Raiders, but the Chargers are currently sitting at
8-4.
8-4 as the 5 seed in the AFC playoffs. So they're not really going anywhere. But at the same time, if you haven't gotten the message by now, I'm not impressed at all by beating the Raiders, especially when you do it in the fashion you did. The Raiders were 2 for 8 on third down. The Chargers were 12 of 17, though, which is at least hopeful for the offense. But this is the Raiders' defense we're talking about here. So if your offensive line and passing game wasn't able to figure it out versus them, then I don't know what you're doing. So I really don't feel like giving any credit at all to the Chargers for this win, just because it just doesn't mean that much to me. Yeah, if you didn't win this game, I would have been utterly astonished. So I don't know what your takeaway was from this one, Joey, but why don't you fill me in?
Well, when you talk about the Chargers' record, they're 8-4. They're also 7-2 in their conference, and then they're 4-0 in their division. So they're a hard team to try and push out of a playoff picture at this point. I feel like they have a pretty firm grasp of one. I don't expect them to lose out or anything like that. So I think you could pretty much pencil them in as a playoff team. They play the Eagles next week, so that's going to be an interesting game. That's like a 2 teams. Yeah, those are 2 teams in similar places. So yeah. I'm really interested to see how that goes. I really hope that they beat the Eagles. That's what I hope.
I hope they do. I think the Eagles will win.
Yeah,
that's my initial instinct, but we'll just have
Eagles
to see.
Win that game.
Yeah,
I think Hampton's gonna be back for that game, so that'll be interesting.
And maybe he can be something that really brings some stability back, even though there won't be great blocking. He can kind of be the threat of the run game. It's just his presence alone. Because Vidal's been very good, but Hampton is definitely better. And there's a reason they drafted him, and he looked really good before he got hurt. So.
The Chargers, though, have a good defense. So I feel like they can they could be a headache for Hurts to deal with.
I think their defense is disciplined and well coached. I don't think they're very talented, but as we just saw with the Bears, you can beat the Eagles' offense like that. So I think the Eagles are in free fall.
Keenan Allen will just eat alive their number 2 corner or whoever you put on him. Or Ladd's going to eat. I feel like their offense has room to. I feel like you'd have to go into this game favoring the Chargers. Let's see where that game's at. That's going to be a huge factor.
Yeah. You're searching it?
Yeah, I'm looking. Should have had this on. Or I should have already known this considering I brought it up.
It's all good. But
yeah, so that game's gonna be in LA Monday night. So
yeah, so they're home, but is that really home? Anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter for them, I guess. It's every game's an away game for them. But let's move on. Another AFC South relevant game. We got the Jaguars and the Titans. The Jags won this one 25-3. They take care of business against the terrible Titans. There was 23 penalties in this game combined. The Jags were 3 of 13 on third down. The Titans somehow were even worse at 2 of 12. There were 2 fumbles from the Titans. And the red zone offense that they completely failed at. So the Jags, I think they were 2 of 4 in the red zone. That's what won them this game. I know it was 25-3, and it looks like a complete blowout. But when you realize how bad both offenses were, at being consistent and moving the ball throughout the game. It kind of shines a light to me, at least, at the true vulnerability of this Jaguars team. And it was very similar to me to the Seahawks game that occurred today, where it was just making fewer mistakes than the other team's offense. And this Jaguars team is the second most penalized team in the NFL, and in this game they had 10. The first most is the Broncos. They're the most penalized team in the league, so it's going to kill them eventually if they don't get that right. And that was kind of my only takeaway from the Jaguars is I think they took care of business, but they kind of this game kind of highlighted their biggest weakness in my eyes. They're in the AFC playoff picture right now, kind of just like the Chargers, except they're currently holding first place in the division via a tiebreaker with the Colts. So they're the 3 seed right now, but they could easily fall out to the 6 and then out of the playoffs if they lose next week and the week after. So, Joey, what is your kind of view of the Jaguars in this, kind of playoff, fog for the AFC after this win?
I think they have an easy path to get there. I think they own the Colts, so I expect them to continue to own the Colts, and then I think the Colts will fall out of the playoffs when it comes to that. But like you said, the penalty thing is pretty concerning. It always comes back to bite teams. So that made me kind of raise my eyebrow to the Broncos. You're bringing that stat up, but it makes sense. But and right now, Broncos are playing. Figured we should know this. They're losing 7-6 to the Commanders right now, and it's close to halftime.
This whole season.
33 seconds left. They are in the red zone, but 7-6 Commanders. Anyway, back to the Jags. Not impressed, really. Don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I like their defense a lot, but the offense is concerning, and I just don't know what, they haven't played at a high level, I feel like, yet. They have ran the ball highly effective before, but the passing game is nowhere near what I thought it would be with Brian Thomas, and then they added Jacoby Myers into this thing. I just thought it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, me too. I think they might be in the market for another quarterback after the season. I know the financials are probably hideous for that, but it might look really bad. But I don't think he's maximizing this group of weapons. And Brian Thomas Jr. has been kind of disappointing this season. May very well have been because of injury. And Joe, you may or may not be frozen. Oh, you came back. Your eyes just snapped back onto the screen. All right. Moving on to another game that was kind of odd, actually. That was Jets-Falcons. The Jets were able to get a W in this one. It was late when T-Mobile was able to tie the game up from 17-24 to 24-24, taking it in himself with his legs, and then they were able to get a stop and then kick a game-winning field goal. The Falcons on offense were serviceable with Cousins. They did have a 24-17 lead, but the whole ceiling of this offense is just capped with no London and Cousins in there. They didn't have much of a presence from Mooney at all. So your top 3 weapons for this offense were Bijan and Algier on the ground, and then through the passing game with Kyle Pitts. So you look at the third down efficiency, and that really reigns true. They were able to move the ball, this Falcons team, but they weren't able to convert the long plays, as they were 4 of 12 on third down compared to the Jets, 7 of 16. Imagine being worse than the Jets on third down. You're definitely going to lose the game if that's the case, and that's what happened here. Bijan was very effective, but without London, that's a whole other half of the offense you didn't have, and I think that's a big reason why they lost. And this Falcons team is just really looking really, really ugly. They had such a high point in the season when they beat the Bills. They were running the ball. Bijan looked unstoppable, but after a game like this, I just feel like this team is just floating around over the past couple of years, acquiring this talent, and there's just nothing happening with it. For the Jets, they've got an exciting offseason, next 2 off seasons coming up, to be honest. Whereas they might even be in better position than this Falcons team, because what are they going to do? They got Penix, who's going to be an issue with this injury. He might not be ready next year. They got Cousins. They got to get rid of him, but he's under contract. And then they're going to have to pay these first-round picks. I just feel like this could be cratering for them. I think they're headed towards a really bad spot. What do you think, Joey? Am I panicking too much about the Falcons, or do you see what I'm seeing?
I think Raheem Morris's days are numbered, and I think they're going to bring in an offensive-minded coach, and I think maybe that can unlock play to Kirk's abilities because they're going to have Kirk starting next year. They're paying him big money. So I think he has some good football left in him. It's just they're not utilizing these players correctly. And I think that's what it comes down to. Just a lot of waste of talent is what I see with the Falcons, especially on defense too. They have a lot of defensive talent.
Yeah, they still got some holes, but they injected a lot of talent this offseason, and it's just really nothing's really materialized into a true identity for this team. And I think even when they had it all there early on in the season, they didn't have an identity. I mean, maybe for a minute with like the backfield motions and the two running back sets, but the defense just there's no consistency to who this team was, and whenever that's the case, I tend not to trust that team. So. I will say A.D. Mitchell had a breakout game in the Jets.
He did.
So, for them, Sauce, I hope he's okay, but he got injured, and A.D. Mitchell had kind of a breakout game. It wasn't just a long touchdown, but I think he had like 6 receptions too and probably like 80 yards. So it was a solid game from him, and just kind of nice to see him and Bryce and, getting that done without Garrett Wilson out there. So let's move on to the Dolphins and the Saints. This was kind of a crazy ending of a game. In this one, the Dolphins.
I don't even care to talk about it. You got it.
Yeah, it was just like the Dolphins were kind of expectedly winning, as you would have thought. They were up 16-0 in the fourth quarter. There were multiple interceptions and fumbles by both teams, but the Saints had 2 of them in the second quarter. But they come out of halftime and they score. They get the 2-point conversion, so it's 16-8, and it stayed like that until early in the fourth quarter when the Dolphins kicked a field goal. Saints respond with a field goal, so it's only an 8-point game, and then the Saints managed to actually go and score a touchdown, but they can't get the 2-point conversion. In fact, it's picked and returned by Minkah Fitzpatrick for a 2-point return for the Dolphins. So instead of it being 19-19, it becomes 17-21. So at that point, they had to kick it onside, and they didn't get it. And they almost got it, but it was untouched by a Dolphins defender, and it had not reached 10 yards. So they could not recover it. It was Dolphins ball, and they end the game. So very, very odd game. But to be honest, I think this Dolphins team should blow it up. This Saints team's in the middle of a rebuild. And I'm really, not all that concerned with how this game plays out. Achan, he had a decent day. But I think we know, both of these teams are cooked. Let's move on to another game that has a cooked team in it. And that's the Minnesota Vikings, who took on the Seattle Seahawks defense and Mike McDonald's defense, and I had them starting. And if you had the Seahawks defense, you had to start him in this game because you didn't know if it was going to be 9. But no, in this one, it was not 9. Unfortunately, he did not bless us with his presence on the field versus this totally harmless Seahawks defense. No, it was not him. It was Brosner, Max Brosner in this one. And no offense to the guy, but it was a horrible debut. He had 4 interceptions, 126 passing yards. He really didn't look much better than J.J. McCarthy did, and not for nothing, but that's saying something. J.J. McCarthy's stats are like comparable to Jamarcus Russell's. So to come out and be like kind of worse, I get it. This might have been his first NFL start, but if it was, what a horrible first NFL start to have. To play against this nightmare of a defense. 2 of 10 on third down. They had 11 first downs the entire game. They possessed the ball for only 25 and a half minutes. They had 10 penalties. Sacked 4 times. But it was the 4 interceptions and the fumble, 5 turnovers. One of them, Brosner was getting sacked, getting spun around, and he like rugby tossed the ball just in the direction of the defense. And, I'd never played quarterback, okay? But I don't know if you'd ever catch me trying to throw an incomplete pass in that manner. Like, it was just kind of shocking, especially against a defense like this that's so opportunistic. Like, that was truly a gift towards the Seahawks defense. And to be honest, I know Joey's very high on the Seahawks, he's very impressed, and I'm very big on this defense too. But to be honest, it just felt like a game that was nearly impossible to lose for the Seahawks team. The Vikings couldn't do anything. on offense. So that's kind of just the way I'm looking at this. Seahawks did kind of what I expected them to do. They're an awesome team, and I'll forgive Sam Darnold for not having to do too much in this one because what are you gonna do? Huh? What are you gonna do? The other team has 5 offensive turnovers. You won the game. Okay, not really a great thing to compare to something you would expect for someone in the playoffs. Just kind of my point of view on that one. What do you think, Joey?
I think it was. I mean, this was Sam Darnold's return to Minnesota. I think that was an underrated storyline here.
Yep.
Minnesota knew they know Darnold's weaknesses, and Darnold took care of the football. He didn't have a great game, but he got the job done. He managed it perfectly, so I gave him credit to that. It's also just a testament to how good he was with Minnesota. It seemed like people wanted to make it seem like any quarterback can go to Minnesota with Stefan. What's his name? The coach.
Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, but everyone wants to make it seem like anyone could go to play with Kevin O'Connell and become a good quarterback. Clearly, that's not the case. Clearly, that was a testament to the talent that Darnold had and how he's been unlocked. And he's been continuing it this year, so that's been really impressive. And I feel like the sky is the limit with this team. I think, it wasn't the best game with him, but I feel like it's more like you can win with what he did today, obviously.
Yeah.
With the defense that they have, he doesn't have to do a whole lot. So I was impressed. I think it was a good win for Seattle, obviously, and I'm really excited to see the divisional race here. Unfold.
Yeah, the NFC West is going to be one of the most exciting divisions down the stretch, and it was last year too. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds. I just think other than the Rams versus the Panthers, there wasn't much to take away from that division this week. We'll see over the next couple weeks as these teams go on to play each other, how that evolves as we proceed. So that was all the games.
I'm planting my flag.
Huh?
My flag is planted that I think Seattle wins the division.
Okay. Joey thinks the Seahawks will win the division. I'm not going to say that. I still think the Rams will win. And we'll certainly be able to revisit this in the Top 10 Tuesdays that you all should definitely go check out this Tuesday. It's going to be at the same time around 8:30 Tuesday night. You can expect to see me and Joey there. Dan is a maybe. And other than that, that is the Week 13 reaction, everyone. Thank you all who were in the stream watching and dropping likes. And if you are not subscribed to the channel already, subscribe to The Pocket and subscribe to Dat One Dude in the description, where both me and Dan do the live streams for the Illegal Formation podcast. And if you have any questions or thoughts that you'd like to share that you were reacting to Week 13 with, why don't you put those in the comments so we can all share those with each other. And don't forget to stay tuned for us to pick the games later on this week on Thursday. Also, around 8:30. It could be Friday, but we're shooting for Thursday. So that's all we got for you guys in this one. And I'm excited to talk again with Joey on Tuesday. And I will see you guys in that one. Peace out.